We'll talk about some Moldplus features that can really enhance your multi-axis programming. And I have an example on the Blade Expert, so we can kind of show you kind of what full machine simulation looks like and the advantages of that. This is an example of Moldplus. And Moldplus is an add-on you can purchase with Mastercam. So this is the interface for the Moldplus toolbar here. But when you have the curve and drill 5-axis toolpaths, it really automates a lot of this stuff. For example, like in the 5-axis toolkit here, you have your part extension. So if you want to extend your part, you can tell it, what you want to extend. It knows your part right there, so when I preview it, it's automatically going to extend my part based on the parameter sets I have here. So maybe I want the draft distance to be on the opposite side of this. I can hit invert Z, and it flips the extensions right there. So it's really quick and easy to get what you want here. If you want to change your draft angle, I can change it to 10 degrees here, preview that. I kind of see that. So it's a quick way to add some part extensions onto your surface instead of like the fence surface option inside of Mastercam. But they've got a lot of really unique capabilities that make things really easy. Mold and core separation, kind of stuff like that as well when you're doing that. I want to talk about the curve 5-axis because it gives you a lot of control over your vectors. That last example, we jumped in and I created my tool vector and I used it. But if you're in the Moldplus and do your curve 5-axis, I can hit the auto toolpath, and this automatically will create a 5-axis curve toolpath on my part. I hit save and exit. It's inside of Moldplus at this point. I can identify what tool I want to use, 1/8" flat end mill. And if I wanted to create that toolpath in Mastercam, I can just sync it real quick, and it creates my toolpath inside Mastercam as well. So now I have all the options. It created the 5-axis curve for me automatically based on that. But Moldplus has a lot of really cool tools inside of it when you're in here. As far as your vectors and stuff, if I want to take this vector and just tilt a vector, I can click on that guy. And if I hold the D key down on the keyboard, that's for dynamic, I can dynamically move that on that anywhere I want. And if I smash into my part, my tool turns red too, and tell me, oh, that's too far. So it's very pretty powerful and cool to do that. You can also move specific paths too. So if you want to go from maybe here to here and do a quick move, we can tell it the points we want to move in the range, and you can bump this out. Let's go here. Let's bump this out in the Y direction maybe, however far we want. You can tell it to do linear, smooth, or uniform, and it will bump it out in an actual, you can move it out in both directions. So if you have fixtures or what have you, you can avoid those. Now this toolpath, when I backplot it, because I changed it over here, the way it tilts, you can see it's keeping it perpendicular all the way until where I changed it. Now it's moving it out exactly the way I changed it. I'm going to pull up this last example of the Moldplus here. And this is a feature. I'll show you that the 5-axis toolkit on this as well, or the 5-axis curve. So if we jump into here, create a curve, do it automatically. Now there's a bunch of internal positions on there as well, and it picked them all up. So if I just change my filtering, you can see I'm dragging it from the left side, which is my small side. I can tell it to ignore anything that I don't want it to. So if I only want to do a multi-axis on the outside edge in that inner rectangle, I've just filtered it quickly and easily there. Hit save and exit. Now I've got my toolpath 5-axis curve on those two areas. Another nice thing you can do is you can interpolate the tool axes. So for example, you got some funkiness going on here with the tool axes. If I select these guys here to here, I can right click and say reinterpolate vectors, and now it reinterpolates those vectors to make them a little bit smoother in relation to each other. And it's really quick and easy, and as soon as I hit the lightning bolt I'll say, give me the 1/8 inch cutter, that's fine. It's created that toolpath right inside Mastercam for me. Very nice. Now, one other cool thing that I'll show you is the fixture design. So for something like this, it is, you want to engrave, maybe you have a laser engraving you need done on this part after it's been machined or something, and you just need something to hold this in place on your laser engraving machine. The fixture design can really help with that. So what I've done is I've created some lines. Let's go translucent here. Just some horizontal and vertical lines kind of cross-hatching this part. That being said, I just want to create something that's going to hold that up so I can engrave it. So on the fixture design, it's really automated. As soon as you click on it, it tells you to select your layout lines. That's that crosshatch pattern. So I'm just going to go to my window selection and just grab all those guys and selection there. And with one click of the mouse, I've created all the components I need to hold this part up. But you do have control to go into here and tell it what you want your slot width to be, the free space, base plates, turn them on, turn them off. There's just a lot of functions. But as soon as you hit output, it's going to, or create geometry, it's going to create everything for this fixture automatically and put it on corresponding levels inside of Mastercam. So I'll turn them all off for now, but here's your nesting operations. So that's every component. If I were to take it and want to cut it out on my router or CNC, there's all the components for that laid out, and they're all labeled for it automatically. So it's really pretty cool, and that each one is its own separate layer too, so you can, and it's oriented in the same spot so that you don't have to keep changing your origin. And there's your assembly. You've got, and they're all labeled on here as well. So it's a very, very cool process if you need that functionality. You don't have to go through and you saw how automated it was. It's a simple, basically one button click, and I've got a fixture part designed for me. I'm going to just talk real quick about Blade Expert. So we have a port or a toolpath inside the multi-axis toolpath, and this one's a specific toolpath for blades and impellers. So it's an add-on for multi-axis, but if you are making these types of parts, it's really beneficial to have because it's all automatic. All the toolpaths you see here on the left-hand side are the same toolpath, just defining different areas of your blade. So we started with a stock model that looked like that. We roughed it out in the parameters to cut out all of those areas. And inside the Blade Expert toolpath, you're always going to define in the cut patterns what you're roughing out. So this parameter is the same for all of these, but you're going to tell it, is it roughing, is it finishing, and what strategy do you want to use, and different components like that. And because it knows it's an impeller, it knows, is it a blade, is it a hub, and what you're doing. So we roughed it all out with that. We create a stock model based on that we used to do a finishing operation on that, or a semi-finishing actually. And then we have a stock model based on that has a finishing operation for those outer blades. And again, it's the same exact toolpath. We've just changed these areas to a different strategy. So it's blade finishing on this, and we're morphing between the shroud and the hub, but we're getting nice fluent toolpaths to do this. And I did want to show you that we have this set up to cut on the Haas UMC 750. So we do have a full machine simulation on this available for it. So if I want to see what this is looking for, and our fixture actually isn't high enough on this, but I want to show you this when we run it, that you'll see in the simulation that it will automatically show you in red anytime something collides with something else. So you can see when, in this case, because our fixture isn't high enough, when it tilts that pallet up, it collides there. But you can see in here, full simulation of exactly what's happening on your part. So it's a very nice feature to have when you're doing complex cutting like this. And just to show you this full machine simulation, you can turn the housing on too. Now, obviously, this gets in the way of a lot of stuff, so it's really not too useful when you're trying to see what's going on. So I always turn that off when I'm in here, because I just want to see what's moving and what's actually hitting, because that's what's important. But if it does hit anything on the housing for some reason, it would show that too.